Can you relate to this? Oh man, I'm not doing this anymore, man. I'm no longer reading this script. I'm so fed up with this shit. So listen, that's the hard truth. You suck at productivity. I suck at productivity. Everybody does this in the world. So what? The thing is, you're taking things far too serious. That's the problem. You think there's the one solution out there that will help you to get better. And I tell you what, it's not there. The actual problem is that productivity became a buzzword. So who the heck knows what productivity actually is? They tell you, you have to become more productive. So what is it? It was getting more done in the past. So now it's becoming more productive. And it seems everybody is productive on YouTube. I tell you, they are not, as most of them are just students who don't have so many balls in the air than a busy professional. Go to YouTube, search for PCAM, personal knowledge management. You will get thousands, literally thousands, hundreds, millions of videos telling you how you can set up your Obsidian in a nice way. Hey, you just invest hours. No, you invest months to set up this. Hey, let's make Notion your live operating system. Bullshit. It's impossible to integrate all that's going on in your life and your business and with your other things into one tool. It's impossible. And challenge me. Reach out. Let's have a talk. Show me that your life is running in just one tool. And please, if you have a few tasks here and there every day that you can check off, great. You have a nice life. Keep it. But if you run into a wall every day and you see opportunities left and right that you cannot take on because you're hitting a ceiling for years, well, welcome to my world then. And I know what I'm talking about. I was a long-time student. I made my PhD before I went into corporate, and I just fall into a hole where I thought, what the heck? I thought everybody presents to me on a silver platter now, so I know exactly what to do, what projects to work on, what is my responsibility and things like that. I was working in a 300,000 employee company, and it was impossible to not burn out in this company. So okay, I learned the hard truth. It's not the only farm I was growing up with when being a student, and I tell you the difference between a student and a professional. Students focus on information and they have to stick to the calendars. They have to go to the lessons and then write the exams. And in between, don't tell me that. I was partying a lot. I can tell you that. So things changed the moment I went to corporate, and yet going from 150% working every day to increasing team performance by 60%, taking over two teams in IT. Well, that's my actual life, and I made it. And it was not based on Scrum, Agile, Six Sigma, getting things done and all these things. I tried them all, man. I tried them all. I thought, I'm just not able to implement this. Pomodoro, right? Work 25 minutes, then make a 5-minute break. Oh yeah, I get 5 minutes breaks every 5 minutes by a coworker coming in asking me about something. This was the reality. And yet, in the end of the year, overworking 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and yet sitting there and not achieving my goals. Yeah, that's the reality. And it was a lot easier back then, I can tell you that. Why? We just had Evernote and Wunderlist, and that was it. There was nothing else. So if you've been able to use Evernote, you've been a bot in this company already, because you suddenly were able to search for information. While I remember my boss walking around with 5 different paper notebooks around and her laptop, opening 20,000 tabs in her browser and complaining about that the fucking laptop is breaking down. This is the reality I was living in. And yet we've been able to produce high value products and pump these out every day. Along the way, complaining. Left and right, complaining, well, I hate my work, but I will retire very soon. Man, we don't want to do this. And I hear it over and over again from our members. And that's why I became so confident that I'm not alone. Back then, I thought I'm the stupid guy. I'm not the one who gets it right. I'm the one who is not organized enough. While in fact, everybody was sucking at productivity. Everybody was asking for information, searching for information. And that's the reason why we see now the studies showing that 60% of a workday, people do work about work. Can you imagine that? I just want to tell you, it's not you. You're not alone. We are all in the same shit. So the thing is, I was so fed up with these buzzwords and with the trainings and coachings, how to improve team performance and being nice to each other. While in the end, everybody was just using the new words So we just painted this shit in a new color. But nothing changed. In fact, it became worse because we had, on top of being overwhelmed, the tasks to optimize our work. It's insane. And I realized we have to go the opposite way. All we need to do is to simplify. And there was a crucial missing part when I looked at the solutions out there for productivity. And I can tell you, there's a solution. There's a reason why I was able to increase team performance by 60% with the same headcount. And it was just simple. Let's go to the whiteboard and I show you something I think that is an eye-opener for everything. Let's start with the definition of productivity. What does it actually mean? Let's break down this buzzword down to its pieces. And I can tell you it's just 4 pieces that we need to talk about. So let's dive into this. So here's the one thing that you need to keep in mind. The best productivity system is the one you don't need to think about. That's the problem. That's the work about work I just mentioned earlier in the video. So many people are working on their system every fucking day to keep it alive. But this is actually the signal that the system is broken. The one that you don't think about will naturally work for you in the background as it works like your brain works, okay? You know instantly where to find information. You know instantly what do you need to do next. This is what we need to get from a system. And that's the problem where people sell you templates where you have to invest a lot of time setting up a digital system that is not made for your specific use case. And that's why we have to look at this in a tool agnostic way. That's crucial for everything that I'm talking about here too. Another crucial thing is, as I mentioned before, everybody talks about information on YouTube. When you talk about productivity, they talk about information. How to store information, how to retrieve information, how to manage, how to link your thinking and all these things. There's something crucial missing. What about all the shit that I need to get done? Okay, let's get to GTD and to do this. No, you're now mixing up things. You again have scattered systems all over the place. That's why we have to holistically look at information and action, how to move information to action, how to make information relevant for action. Information needs to be crucial in your system. We have to get signal and ignore the noise. This is what the system needs to provide. It needs to tell you, man, this is what you need to focus on right now. Ignore the rest, okay? Because of all the actions that you have to do, it's impossible to look at anything else in your life. This is productivity end to end, all right? From information to action, from an idea to an output, to the result, to the product, to the goal achieved, all right? This is what we need to look at. But it doesn't end there, as it is not so simple, as life isn't simple. As a professional, we're talking here about work productivity. We have to divide these two things into a few more pieces. And these additional pieces are very simple once you get the point. So here, personal information and personal action. But it is not stopping there, as there's also business information and business action. So you see, these are the 4 pieces I was referring to earlier in the video. And the key here is what you see now when we talk about productivity end to end. This is personal knowledge management. This one piece. And you see all the 3 other pieces are missing in those solutions talking only about personal knowledge management. It doesn't make you more productive. You might be able to find more information, but I tell you what, you're probably managing more, organizing your information than you get out of it, because this part is missing. You're overwhelmed. You're missing deadlines. You focus on things that don't matter right now. You work more on shallow work the whole day than you do on deep work. So this is as simple as it can get. And now when we think about tools, so maybe you're using something like ClickUp, Asana, Monday, or Microsoft Planner. This is your business action, all right? That's your project management tool. Maybe you're using something like Obsidian. Heck, man, Apple Notes. What a game changer it was when Apple Notes came out for iPad. Man, everybody became so productive. Well, in fact, I tell you a story there. When I was working corporate, I was the first guy using an iPad and all these Apple Pencil things in my department. And I launched a YouTube channel back then in 2017, showing how I'm using the handwriting note-taking apps. That brought me to get into the offices of the executives and showing them, because everybody of them got an iPad, because the company thought, all right, that's the new thing and we are with Apple, so let's give everybody an iPad so they become more productive. They had no clue how to use it. Nobody knew it. So I showed showed them the advantages. Instead of writing into a book, you can handwrite it into the iPad and your notes become searchable. And boom! That was already a productivity boost for most of them. They've been searching through different paper notebooks, loose paper, and things like that. And now we suddenly can search for information. That's the same for Evernote back then. That was the unfair advantage that you had back there. Today, it's not that easy. You have millions of different productivity tools, and that's what makes the mess even messier. So this being said, this is your PKM. You can also add Obsidian like this. So what about personal action? Well, this is where you had the Wunderlist in the past, or Todoist, okay, or TickTick or whatever for your personal action. Well, and for personal action, we also have the Google Calendar or your Microsoft Outlook. On this channel, there are so many videos where I talk about the difference between a calendar, a planner, and a task management tool. Watch them later. But for now, we need to understand the high level of the differences of action and information in personal and business. And now, business information, what is this? This is the thing that is usually missing, where people reach out to other people. Hey, do you have this? Because they maybe have written down some meeting notes inside their Obsidian, right? And then they reach out. Hey, what did we talk about in the meeting? Or email where they have a meeting minute sent out, and then you find the latest email, what is the most relevant, and it gets worse. And we see it over and over again, where the whole productivity system end to end runs on email, where you have to find what you're working on right now and what is the latest information about this project and so on, and everybody searching their email. And then, yeah, let's use AI, and it's so much easier to find all the things. What about having a structure in the first place and know exactly where it goes? That's what we call a single source of truth, where people then think it could be Google Docs or something like that. In our case, ClickUp, we are using for information and action, for both. So we have our business information like address or tax relevant information or SOP, standard operating procedures, all these things. Well, in corporate, when I was working there, we had a whole system for standard operating procedures and so on. But what I want to point out here, now you see it becomes blurry. Some people are using Obsidian for both personal information, personal action. Or a better example in this case would be Notion, okay? Where they say, boom, all you need is Notion and you cover the productivity system end to end. And now you can bring in your team and everybody will live in there. Maybe not everybody in your team loves to live in Notion with their personal work, and it's holding them back to be actually productive. That's why we keep saying at Paperless Movement, guys, let your people work and use whatever they like to work to be most efficient with, but provide them with the right business systems so they have all the information available about what information they need to accomplish tasks and when they need to accomplish these tasks based on the priority that you gave them. And now you see it becomes messy. It's all over the place. And that's why we invented the ICOR framework. It's exactly what I showed you on the whiteboard before. You see here, personal information, personal action, business information, and business action. That's it. And as things are not so strict, we made these overlaps. So we have said that ClickUp is used for business information and action. Here we go, ClickUp would end up there. And that's where our members and obviously Paco and myself, by the way, Paco is running 4 business in parallel, managing 70 people, all without a personal assistant, based on the same principles that I'm showing you here. That's why he's a co-founder of the Paperless Movement, right? He went through the same for over 30 years. So don't tell me that this doesn't work for your use case. We have seen it all and it cannot get simpler than that. It's just a fact. So you just search for your tools and you drag them out. And there's another video where I showed the details, but you end up with your tool stack like this. Okay, this is my tool stack. That's the tools I'm using. It looks complicated, but when we look from this perspective and understanding where this is coming from, and it's all about just moving information into action, it's much simpler to understand. And when you're now able to place your own tools there, you now, probably for the first time ever, are able to understand why you're actually using the tools. And again, I made another video on this channel where I showed there are people using 10, 20 different PKM tools. They have filled out the whole thing here. There's nothing laid out in the other things. And then they start realizing, well, I'm actually using Gmail, for example. I'm actually using a project management like Microsoft Planner, even if I'm depending on the company providing it to me, I'm able to lay it out here. And then we go deeper, and I'm not going deeper into this video. Again, I made another video about this. Feel free to watch it after this one. But here we dived in a lot deeper where you define why you're using the tool. And in fact, each individual secondary category that you can apply to your tool is directly linked to a concept and workflow that is perfectly defined, that you need to understand in order to master your productivity. That's the problem. Most people always want to master it today. It's impossible. You have to invest time. And instead of investing time setting up this fancy new template that you just bought for $200, take the time and sit down and think about these things. Personal information, personal action, and business information, business action. You don't need our app in order to do that, but obviously it makes things a lot easier and organized, and we have a full series of courses that goes through every part of a productivity system end to end, where you learn all the concepts and workflows. And in fact, our app then, once you fill out all the things, gives you the relevant recommendations where you can perfectly click here and open up the relevant lesson that will show you what is a task versus speedies versus reminders. Did you know that? Well, you are not alone. As I said, we are using these words every day and still have no idea. And that's where we have the videos, we have the magic slides, we have a community where Paco and I personally are in there helping you to get these things done. The key point is you have to take time to make 3 things and keep them in mind. You get a lot more relaxed knowing this. These 3 things are analyze, systemize, and optimize. And you are in the analyze part. You never thought really end to end about your productivity system. So that's why you're always like, you try to treat the symptoms, but never work on the root cause of why you're hitting a ceiling. You are a very successful professional. You are highly productive at work. That's not the issue. The issue is you don't have enough hours left in the day. What's holding you back is all the friction with the different systems, finding information and all this. That's why you have to sit down, invest the time first to get time back afterwards, thanks to analyzing your system, if you have any in place. And that's what we help you to realize what are the gaps in your system with the ICOR methodology. Then you systemize, then you think about the system. As I have shown you, in the end, you end up with your overall productivity system. You perfectly understand how everything is interconnected and why you using the tools as you're using them, but all based on tool agnostic concepts and workflows. And that's key. I don't care about how you set up the internal. And I tell you, nobody will be able to tell you how to perfectly set up these things based on your personal preferences or business needs. There are nuances, there are subtleties, but you never understand what these are if you don't get the foundation right. And that's why we are here to make you realize what these things are. That's the systemization. And then optimize is the lifelong, and I bring up another buzzword from corporate, continuous improvement. There are endless opportunities to optimize a system. I can you tell it. I earned my bread and butter by optimizing processes in big corporate and cross-department projects, and this is an endless thing. Why do you think all these consultants in these corporates are there and say, hey, let me optimize your process? And all they have to show is give a return of investment. And no matter how expensive they get, it's so easy to find friction gaps in any team, in any department, that saves you so much time and money, the team, clarity, and so on, if the guy is doing it right. But we always say, don't hire these people. Do it yourself. At the Paperless Movement, we are not doing it for you. We are doing it with you. So we have not only the membership where you can go through the courses yourself and use the myICOR application and have the community, but we also have a coaching program called the Inner Circle Program, where we guarantee that our professionals who join Paco and me in this 1 month program have a productivity system up and running in just 1 month. And we talk here about the analyze and systemize part. We now running this program for nearly 2 years, every month, and we haven't seen one single member not achieving what they needed to improve their work performance. Well, this is it for today. And if you know anybody who can relate to what I shared in this video, make sure to share it with those people too. We need to spread the word so we release the anxiety. It's not you, it's the system that's broken.